Hi, I'm Sarah Stabenow, and I'm here with Danielle Merritt-Sinceri, who is Alvieri's Science Curriculum Advisor and co-founder of Charlotte Mason Institute's Blue Orchard Bee. Danielle, first of all, what is Blue Orchard Bee?
Well, the Blue Orchard Bee is a resource that is open to anyone interested in pursuing a Charlotte Mason education within a home or classroom that has at least one neurodivergent student. Let me give you an analogy to help you understand why this is important. When people think about the bees that are out there in nature pollinating our crops and flowers, they tend to think about honeybees most commonly. They don't think about the over 3,000 species of native bees, most of which have needs that are very different from the honeybee. The blue orchard bee is one example of these native bees. And if we want to care for blue orchard bees, then we have to understand what they need and provide for those needs appropriately. Some of our children are just like those blue orchard bees, living and learning in a world that was built and designed for honeybees. So when discerning how to provide for those children, we looked to Mason's example. At the Blue Orchard Bee, we offer both teacher training and cultural engagement through our publications, and we offer support and encouragement through our online community.
Wonderful. Can you tell me more about what kinds of neurodivergence are discussed in Blue Orchard Bee?
Generally, ADHD, autism, and dyslexia are frequently discussed, but we have community members that are working with challenges related to everything from Fragile X, NVLD, intellectual disability, dyscalculia, apraxia, FAS. There's so many of them. Neurodivergence is really less about commonality within particular diagnostic boxes and more about functioning in a way that's simply different from what is typical, which is why sometimes we'll use the word neuroatypical. Group members bring a great variety of different needs and perspectives to discussion, and we always begin with principles in our publications. So when Andy is speaking about stewardship or executive function, or I'm speaking about anxiety or processing differences, or one of our guests is speaking about mindset or literature choices, there are principles in there that can be applied regardless of the diagnosis, if there is even a formal diagnosis, because many people have no diagnosis or an incomplete diagnosis. So while those diagnostic boxes can be helpful tools to find certain resources, we really try not to limit neurodivergence to diagnostic boxes, lest we miss the fullness of the whole experience.
Let's think about what education brings to that experience. A Charlotte Mason education is typically literature rich. Is it a good fit for a dyslexic student? What about a child with ADHD or autism? In what way can a Charlotte Mason education serve those children as well?
I believe that Mason's fundamental ideas are exactly what those students need, even more than typically developing learners. Neurodivergent people often experience a cultural separation from those around them, a sort of relational desert. The popular version of relational education is a step in the right direction, but it tends to focus almost exclusively on the relationship between the student and their teacher and their fellow students. And while that's important, I just don't think that it goes far enough. Mason intends for the student to be completely immersed in relationship. And so a Mason education has the potential really to provide the most developmentally appropriate education for these students. We do have to be mindful, however. We have to really grasp the intent behind her principles and understand any Victorian context that we might have inherited, because sometimes the traditional application might be fine for a typically developing learner, but can really miss the mark for a neurodivergent learner, and then it can offend, despise, and hinder them. So let's think about that dyslexic student. Why did Mason want a literature-rich program for her students? Well, because literature is full of ideas to grow and build relations upon. So thinking about the much broader range of learners that we have today requires that our curricula have a lot more flexibility in how the students access those ideas. Literature can be made available in a variety of formats with the ability to adjust how it looks visually and to have good quality audio available. Thinking about ADHD and processing differences, those life-giving ideas can sometimes be shared through art and media but better whet the student's appetite and engage their curiosity and just really get those neurotransmitters flowing that allow learning to happen. Narration can take a variety of forms at all ages so that all students actually have the ability to know, using the wiring that they've been given, and thereby learn how to steward what they've been given. The literature itself can be chosen with multicultural in mind so that all of our students are gaining a balance of both self-knowledge and knowledge of other. And the quality of books and lessons can be made to fit the needs of the student, understanding that some will flourish from tasting a great many different items at the grand buffet, while others will flourish from relishing a predictable number of courses seated at their own table.
What if a parent is neurodivergent? Does Blue Orchard Bee offer support for them?
Oh, yes. Many of the parents are neurodivergent as well, and that is not a coincidence. Parents are people too. We were all neurodivergent kids once too. And education is a life for the parents too. So, much of the conference of material that Andy and I developed, which is what led to the Blue Orchard Bee in the first place, came from our own experiences because she and I both received late diagnoses as adults. A lot of that material was based on the process that we went through, learning and healing and figuring out what was most important for our own development as persons, as well as recognizing the intersections that we just kept coming upon as students of Mason. And so many adults come to the Blue Orchard Bee and find that they're helped by the resources and discussion just as much as their students. And as the caregiver becomes better able to support their own needs, they naturally become better able to care for the needs of their children. Many of the topical conversations and community discussions include neurodivergent adults speaking about their experiences and the challenges that brings to various aspects of life. We also have 2 monthly book clubs that gather virtually, and those are both neurodiverse groups that include both neurotypical people as well as those with neurodivergences.
This is so helpful to hear. If someone wants to join Blue Orchard Bee, how do they get started? Is there a fee?
It is absolutely free. People can go to the Charlotte Mason Institute website, where we're listed under resources. And from our page, then people can find all of our publications, both our teacher training and topical conversations that are sort of our twist on the parents' review. And they can also join our online community called The Pollinator, where they can ask questions, engage in online discussion, or join one of our book clubs.
Thank you so much, Danielle.